welcome to MCTV's Let's Talk. I'm Mike Stanzillis, Vice President of Membership and Government Affairs, and today's member spotlight is with Lindsay Stefano of Avedon Health. And Lindsay is a certified health education specialist with her master's in healthcare and administration. So Lindsay, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It is great to have you. And also, Lindsay is a member of Team DSTIG. If you don't know what Team DSTIG is, you will find out very soon because they are having a ripple effect, a cascading impact throughout the entire chamber. Stay tuned for Team DSTIG. So Lindsay, you're in healthcare education. You know, you are the kind of person that really wants to get out there and help people. I've known you for a little while now, and I can really tell that about you, but we want our audience to get to know that about you. So what is it? Why did you get into this field of helping others through healthcare?
Right. So it's actually a funny story of how I specifically got into this field, but for me, it started when I was younger. I always liked health and wellness. For me, growing up, I was an overweight child, but I learned to eat healthy and exercise from watching my father do it. He was diagnosed with heart disease and had a quintuple bypass. So he had to take the route of eating healthy. So I learned the healthy way of doing it, cooking, watching him exercise. So like any child who has a role model that eats healthy, I did that as well. But I never knew that you could make a lifestyle out of it and a career out of it. So one day in college, I was a history major. I was an athletic trainer, and every major I was in, I was just like, this is not for me. As an athletic trainer, people are coming to me hurt. And I'm like, I don't want to see you hurt. I want to prevent you from getting hurt. So one day I'm walking through my shortcut to my class, you know, shaving off 5 minutes. And I stumble across this pamphlet. And on it says public health. And it says prevention of heart disease. And I'm thinking to myself, there's a class on this? And all of a sudden, this woman walks out and she says, are you interested in this? And I'm like, yeah, do we have classes on this? Is this a major? And she says, of course it is. And I said, well, I never knew anything about it. So next thing you know, I'm in her office and I'm signing up for this major. Turns out it's the chair of the department. And, you know, long story short, I graduate with a degree in certified health education. And that's, you know, how a shortcut to get to class on time leads to a career in health education.
That is such an amazing story. You know, it's a funny thing. You turn left, you turn right. It's random choices in life. You turn left and you may meet the person, the love of your life. You take a shortcut to get to your next class. And look at you now. It's a whole career based on a shortcut and a pamphlet. What if that pamphlet wasn't even there?
Right.
What a cool story about just being open to the universe. So you graduate from college with this amazing degree. What were some of your first experiences as a healthcare educator?
Right. So right out of college, I took my first job in the Lower East Side of New York City, which was very interesting. I went to different schools around the Lower East Side. I took the subway, I walked, and I said, you know, it's New York City, it's my first job, I can do this. So it was also teaching substance use prevention. So it was a very eye-opening experience for somebody who grew up in Monmouth County, New Jersey, because a lot of the stuff that I was teaching, they already knew at such a young age growing up in New York City. So that's where a lot of my foundational knowledge came from. I would teach a set of third graders about, smoking or about alcohol, and they could name off a lot of the brands that I was saying. And they'd say, mom and dad have these at home, and I have to go to the store and get them for them. So that's kind of where my interest and knowledge grew, to kind of get deeper into that field of substance use prevention and recovery.
So you're in the public sector. Now you're in the private sector, right? You left the public sector with your pedigree, your experience, your degrees. You could have went anywhere in the private sector. You chose MedPro Wellness, which is now Avedon Health. What was it that drew you out of the public sector to go into the private sector? And then subsequently, what are you doing now at Avedon?
Right. So the public sector does offer a lot of different benefits, and it is filled with a lot of good-hearted people that do want to give back to their communities, right? It's boots on the ground. However, the private sector has those people as well, but what the private sector offers is it offers the ability to scale, right? So a lot of the programs that I would do in one town, they offer the ability to scale that nationwide and potentially even worldwide, right? So those are the type of things that I look for, because as you said at the beginning, I really truly do want to make an impact on people's lives. And if I could do that to one person, yes, that is fabulous. And I am happy that I can do that. But at the end of the day, I really do want to change the world. And I know that sounds cliche, but it is the truth.
No, it doesn't. It's a great thing to hear from you. We had the astronaut Scott Kelly as the keynote speaker this year at our annual meeting, and he talked about something very similar to what you just said, and it was very motivational, inspirational. So let's talk about changing the world. What are some of the issues? And I know you specialize in a lot of mental health subjects. What are some of the issues that are people struggling with now during this pandemic that Avedon Health and you are helping them and dealing with?
Right. So right now, especially with COVID and a lot of stay-at-home orders and things being virtual, people are feeling very isolated, right? People are feeling scared to go out. Things are shut down. So especially for kids and people who are working now fully remote, you're feeling isolated, which you may not realize it at the time, but causes a certain level of anxiety and stress. So what Avedon can do, or what maybe you could even do for yourself, is we have different articles on how to reconnect with people around you, right? So there are different articles on our website. There's different articles that you can even look up for yourself. So something that I can offer you as a part of Avedon right now is go outside, even though it's freezing over here on the East Coast, right? Go outside, breathe in the fresh air, because it is good for you. Another thing that you could do is call up somebody, right? If you are on Zoom all day, take away the camera and just call somebody. Go back to the good old calling and reconnect with somebody that you don't see, that you don't talk to on a regular basis. We have to start reconnecting with people, even though we may not be able to see them, because it'll start to make you feel more supportive, sorry, and it'll rebuild those synapses that'll start to replenish the serotonin and the dopamine back into your brain to start to make you feel better.
Great advice. We all find ourselves indoors all day long, working from home, not even going out to the car to come to the office to walk from the parking lot. So there is no fresh air in that scenario.
Mhm.
Listen, you said something that you opened a door and I'm going to walk in it. Okay. You talked about kids and
Mhm.
what's going on with the mental health of kids. So, there's a lot of parents that are going to be watching this program, and they're struggling with the kids being home, being partially in school, not being in school, and work. What is your take on what's going on with our kids and our education of those children right now?
Right. So I know a lot of different schools do hybrids, and some kids are fully remote, and those are all personal choices for the school system. So one is not, I'm not here to say one's good over the other or one's better than the other. But what I can say is that kids do strive with structure, right? So what a parent can do is provide structure when the child is home, whatever that may look like. So if you notice your teenager is home, let's say they're home all day. Let's say they have a fully virtual classroom, right? And let's say they're taking it in bed. They just have their computer and they're sleeping and doing it. What you do have the ability to do is provide structure and give them a lesson. Say, when you are learning, you have to sit up, and then we're going to do walking activities. We're going to do this. Whatever you want their structure to look like, make it for them and help them through the day. You could do the same for your 4-year-old, right? Kids like structure, and it will help them to feel a little bit more normalcy during these times, right? Because that's essentially what school is. It's a structure during the day, whether they go there or whether they come to your home and do it. It's a structure that is going to help them thrive. So that's something that we can do.
So you've worked in both the public and private sector. And same with me. And I'm going to ask you a question about that. What lessons can be learned from one or the other? If you could contrast the two, what would you say?
So for the public sector, I think the private sector could teach the lesson of streamlining processes a little bit. I think the public sector is a little behind on, just a little behind on technology, if you will. I just remember one of my first days in the public sector, and I'm learning how to use a fax machine. And I never, and in my days in college, I'm learning how to use a statistical analysis software program. And I get to the public health department and I say, "Oh, well, you guys have this statistic program, right?" And they look at me and they laugh and they go, "No, we have good old Excel." And I'm like, "Well, how am I supposed to do these outcomes for you?" And it's just, there's a lot of different things that, the public sector can do to improve just in technology alone that will help them extend their reach way further than it currently is.
Oh, what a hilarious story, having somebody graduating from college and then having to learn how to use a fax machine when they go work in the public sector. Which side of the paper faces up? I mean, that's always the big dilemma with fax machine.
Right.
It's a hilarious story. And I just want to thank you and Avedon Health for the work you're doing, helping people, especially in the mental health sector during this troubling times. We're all trapped in our homes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Lindsay Stefano of Avedon Health, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me and allowing me this opportunity to speak to your viewers. I truly appreciate it.
And thank you to the Morris County Chamber of Commerce membership. We really appreciate your support, and we really think if you need some help in the mental health area, reach out to Lindsay, reach out to Team DSTIG. There's a lot going on where you can find help. Thank you.
Thank you.